Okay, hi, so my name is Simon McMillan. I'm a staff scientist here at Science North, and today we're in a cavern here where I want to talk to you a little bit about LED lights, but really this is part of our effort to make Science North greener, and lights are a big component of that. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And so as you can see in the cavern here, we've switched everything to LED lights, and so we're going to get to why we want to switch to LED lights. But first of all, our sort of green initiative has, of course, a component that we want to save energy. Along with that, we would also like to improve our visitor experience if we can. That's always a benefit. And if we can reduce maintenance costs, that would be a bonus. So those three things are really a key component of our energy initiatives at Science North. So when we look at what actually consumes a lot of energy at Science North, of course, lights are quite a big part of it because everything needs to be lit really well, and it's a big building. Another area where we have a lot of energy costs is the air conditioning. And you might not immediately see the connection between the two, but when you think back to the old incandescent light bulbs, and once upon a time the whole Science Center was full of those, they actually contribute a lot of heat to the building. And changing those lights out to something more energy efficient that produces less heat can actually also reduce our air conditioning costs. So we sort of have a double win situation. By switching to more energy efficient lighting, we can reduce the energy costs of powering those lights, but we can also actually reduce the load on the air conditioning system, which is a huge benefit at Science North. So that's one of the main reasons why we want to switch to LEDs. Today, Science North is actually 27 years old. So that means a lot of our components are getting quite dated, and for some of them we can't actually get replacement parts anymore. So when we're looking at maintaining our lighting system, it's actually been the case that for some of our lights we haven't even been able to get the replacement parts anymore. So we really had to make a big switch to something new. That means that for us, it wasn't as big of an added cost to switch to LEDs as it might have been otherwise, because we were really at a point with the age of Science North that we had to change our lighting over anyway. Now, if you're thinking of changing your lights to LEDs at home, you go to the store, you might be a little bit shocked at first because LED lights are quite expensive. But the thing is, it really does consume a lot less energy, and these lights also last way longer. So even though there's quite a bit of an upfront cost, over time you will actually save a lot of money by switching over to LED lights. Okay, there's some other really good reasons to switch to LED lights, and so here's just a few. So for example, a lot of traditional lights that we used to have here were not dimmable, but LED lights are often dimmable. As you can see, we can change the color of the lights, and so that's quite nice. So we can do different colors with the same light bulb. They are produce much less heat, though the heat is actually produced in a different part of the bulb. So we do have to be careful of how we cool the lights, because there is still heat in the base, but less where the actual light is produced. Another great benefit of LED lights, especially here in the north, is that they don't need to warm up the way especially those CFL bulbs do. So if you've switched at home maybe to what you consider the new energy efficient bulbs, the CFLs, which are those bulbs with a spiral in it, you might notice that when you turn it on, it starts quite dim and it takes a few minutes to fully warm up, and that's especially noticeable when it's cold. So LEDs thankfully don't have this issue, and so we can actually, when we turn them on, they will get fully bright right away, and that's a great benefit here in the north, especially for some of our outdoor lighting where it's getting quite cold in the winter, and they will power up right away. So when we're redoing the lighting at Science North, we really wanted to focus first on the areas where we have the most lighting needs, so areas that are always on. So that would include our hallways, our elevator, the parking lot lights, and all our outdoor lights. So those we've already switched over to a large degree, and that of course can really help reduce our energy needs because they're on all the time. We've also switched over some of our other areas where it really adds to the visitor experience. So the cavern here is a good example, as is the tunnel, both areas where we had made an investment in LED lights and can really use this to our advantage now as a visitor experience because we have so many new options with these LED lights. We've also switched over to LED lights in some of our boardrooms and some of our lights actually in the lobby as well. Now in the lobby, if you look up, you can actually see lights that look like fluorescent tubes. so something that you might have in your garage at home or something. But if you take a closer look, you would see that some of those tubes actually have a string of LEDs inside. So that's a very new way of doing lighting with LEDs. And those tubes have great advantages over the old ones. They're dimmable, and you might be able to change the color if that's the type you install. So these new tubes have LEDs, but still look like the old fluorescent tubes from a distance. So switching over to LEDs, our new lighting, has actually already led to some really great benefits. In our exhibit hall, where we have our special exhibits, we actually used to have a really hard time in the summer to keep up with air conditioning. It used to be an arena, so it's an old building, and it has a big flat roof, and it gets heated from the outside. And on the inside, we had a very impressive lighting system to light up all of our exhibits, and that created a lot of heat. And in the summer, you can ask any of the blue coats working in there, it could get quite stifling, and not really the best place to work or have our visitors come through when you can't keep up with AC. Since we've switched to LED lights in there, we are now actually able to keep up with air conditioning. So that just shows you that it's actually not just on paper that we can save on air conditioning. It really is actually something that we can measure at Science North with the installation of our LED lights there. Some other benefits right here in the cavern. This has become such a dynamic space, and we've seen a great increase in our bookings. So the cavern can be booked for functions such as weddings or corporate meetings or whatever you might want to do in an amazing space like this. And with our LED lights, we can create a great new atmosphere. We can make the color whatever the bride might want for her wedding colors. The same, of course, goes for a tunnel. So the wedding party can walk down a tunnel with their wedding colors displayed on the walls and walk in here and have a really great atmosphere. So we've actually seen great benefits that way, where our spaces have become a lot more attractive for bookings. Of course, having LED lights in here is also a benefit for our show that we play here every day, which is our wildfires show. So this is a show where we take visitors into the shoes of firemen who fight wildfires in the north. And so we want to create a really dynamic atmosphere where you can really feel immersed in that really sort of dangerous but also really special environment that is wildfires. So with our new lights, we can make the walls the colors that would fit appropriately with the show and really help create that atmosphere to immerse people in our wildfires show. So it's not just for our functions, but also for our actual science experiences that visitors would see here every day. That LED lights have been a really great addition to the cavern. So as I mentioned, our parking lot lights have all been switched over to LEDs, and this has led to really great benefits. Not only have we reduced our actual energy costs, we actually have less stray light now, and the parking lot is brighter because they're very focused towards the ground. In addition, we used to have to do maintenance on these lights twice a year. So we'd be in there with a crane and maintaining those lights, replacing bulbs. Since we've switched to LEDs, which has already been a couple of years, we haven't had to do any maintenance on them. So that is a really great benefit, and of course reduces our maintenance costs quite significantly. So our parking lot is sort of a real showcase of how we can use LED lights to not only save energy, but really actually in the end have many great benefits. So now we're out here in our parking lot, and we have here a car charging station. That's something actually a lot of people don't know because it's brand new, but if you have an electric car, you can come here and charge it. It might look just a little out of place for right now, but electric cars are coming. There's already lots of different models out there, such as the Nissan Leaf or the Tesla or the Chevy Volt and a whole slew of other ones. And as we go towards the future, more and more cars will be powered by electricity because they're much more energy efficient. And of course, reduces our reliance on fossil fuels and reduces our carbon footprint overall. The other thing that's really neat about car charging is actually every car has a battery in it. And we were talking earlier about the need to have storage capacity in our energy grid. If you imagine across Ontario, all the cars that just sit around in parking lots day and night, about 90% of the time your car is probably parked. If it was charged in, you could use that battery to charge it up a little bit, discharge a little bit, just when you need it to keep the energy grid running nice and smooth, keep the energy balanced. You can use a little bit of power when you need it, charge a little bit when you need it. And so this is actually a really big part of the energy grid of the future as well. So here at Science North, you can actually come and use this car charging station for free if you have an electric car, and hopefully we'll be seeing some customers